first caller is, let's see, 314. 314, who do I have the honor of speaking with?
I've grown up around Democratic politics, living here around the St. Louis area.
Yes, sir.
And it has been terrible.
Okay.
Just plain terrible. Now, we have thanks to Donald Trump, which I supported, we had a onslaught of Republican candidates to be elected, including a Republican governor. We have tax reform. We have a Hancock Amendment, whereas if the state revenue exceeds the income of Missourians, then that excess is given back to the taxpayers. We have a constitutional carry. We have voter ID. And I want to see school choice. Democrats don't want that because of their ties with the teachers' unions and vanguard organizations.
Okay.
Donald Trump was the only candidate that was talking in those lines. And also, I prefer for Congress to work to shore up Social Security and Medicare and put less emphasis on Medicaid. Let the states handle that. If states want to have a universal health care, then let them have it. I don't think that's the responsibility of the federal government.
Okay.
I'm going to keep it short.
Okay, great. Let me
listen to you in the past.
Thank you very much for calling in, my friend. What is your name again, my friend?
My name is Tianki.
Tianki. Yes, I remember that name. That's a distinctive name. Anyhow, let me tell you, Tianki, first of all, I want to address the school issue first. It's not that Democrats don't like or don't want school choice. It's that school choice, when you look at the absolute numbers, don't work. And there's a reason why it doesn't work. And let me explain that in detail. Specifically the following. What folks don't understand is there are certain things in our society that should be for profit and other things that should not be for profit. Why don't you want schooling for profit? Schooling for profit does two different things. The first person that has to be taken care of is the shareholders of the corporation that runs the school. In so doing, it means that they have to minimize costs. And what are the cost minimization factors? One, we have to pay teachers less. Number two, we have to ensure that the students that we bring into those classrooms are not the students that are going to cost us the most to educate. Three, it also has proven from real data, because we're here in Houston where we have charter schools, etc., and in other places where there are charter schools, they definitely do not perform. They perform at the same level or worse than public school, and that is not at all hard to understand when you look at the numbers. In school and in education and healthcare, profit is really a detrimental expense. People who believe in the free markets refuse to accept that the free markets do not work for everything. If I remember from the last time you called in, I remember my callers very well, you're in the construction business. I believe wholeheartedly that the free market in those businesses work fine. You cannot extend that to healthcare. You cannot extend that to education. You cannot extend that to these different issues because, my friend, it doesn't work. You brought up another issue with open carry that Donald Trump brought in. I'm not going to go into the argument of open carry because a lot of that is a cultural issue. Now, where it affects me is if somebody blows my head off because they're uneducated and dealing with a gun, but that's a different issue. You brought up one other case. You brought up another issue, I think, with taxes. Let me tell you something about taxes, right? I am for paying not necessarily high taxes, but required taxes. Here's the issue. You as a businessman, you live in a society that was created by taxes and infrastructure, and all these items were created by all our taxes. We gave you the wherewithal so that your excellences could come out. The problem we have is a lot of people whose excellences were dependent on taxes paid by previous generations and taxes in general. What has happened to those people is as soon as they've made it, they're certainly becoming agnostic to taxes. The reality is, I believe in the right amount of taxes being collected. If you want to be honest, corporations get too much of a break on taxes, while the average American citizen pays too much. There are certain parts about taxes that we should be very cognizant of. Why is it that people who make their money off of investments pay a lower tax rate than those who go out and do a work with their hands, those who go out and work every day? It is not warranted. It is unfair that those people who can sit down at their pool, who have invested their monies and make money off of their investments, but while a person who invests in their labor, who could lose a finger, who could lose a hand, who invests their bodies, who put their bodies at risk, will pay a higher tax rate. It's a moral issue, and it's an issue that's worth discussion. But I appreciate what you had to say, Tianke.
Well, can I reply to two of the things you made mention?
If it's quick, because I got to go to another caller, but please do.
I'm going to do it real quick. You know, when blacks oppose,
right.
And I've been following education as applied to black children since the 1970s.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
School choice is the best option. When black parents oppose, they say they want school choice with vouchers.
Sure.
Who would know better than the parent?
And I'm glad you. I'm going to let you answer and go to the next one. I want to answer that question. The lie.
Well, here's the point.
Yes.
Well, here's the point, real quick, and I don't want to get in an argument.
No, we're not arguing. We're discussing.
We're discussing. Yeah. Here's my discussion is that parents are taking their kids out of these dilapidated systems. And also, school choice just don't mean charter school. It may mean another public school like we have seen it occur here in the St. Louis area.
Great.
It could be private school. It could be parochial school. It's the parent's choice. Like the lady in Ohio that faced 5 years for putting her child in her adjoining school district where her father lived, and one up in New Jersey. If you hadn't had school choice with vouchers, those women would not have went to prison. And, we wouldn't be talking about that as a negative as today. But anyway, you have so much time. Maybe we can discuss sometime in the future.
Yeah, great. And I just want to I want to make mention that I agree with you that school choice, as far as having another if a particular public school is bad, I am definitely for that parent being able to move them to a good public school. Now, again, I do not want tax dollars going into parochial schools or tax dollars going into charter schools. I want all tax dollars invested into the public school. Now, you made mention about the dilapidated schools. A lot of schools are dilapidated for the same reason those people who support those policies don't want to pay taxes that will support those dilapidated schools. But we're going to have this conversation another time. We have this show on a weekly basis, and I'd love to continue entertaining you, my friend. Okay?